Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Ben, head coach.
And I'm Anya, international marathon runner, and we're proud to be the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide.
We'll be bringing insightful conversation with truly inspirational guests, as well as running tips and tricks for runners of all abilities.
Today on the podcast, we have the incredible Phily Bowden with a marathon PB of 2 hours and 25 minutes, which has put her in the top 10 all-time female British marathon list. We had such an amazing conversation about her whole journey into running from, running on the track, which she's done 1,500 metres to 10,000 metres, and now one of the best marathon runners. She is a huge advocate for equal opportunities in running and for promoting females in the sport. Enjoy this episode.
Hey Phily, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, we're very excited to get to know you. I guess to start with, we'd love to know, why did you start running?
I don't actually know. I think if I rewind it back to right at the start, it's not a very good reason. I got offered the opportunity to bunk off a maths lesson in year 4 to go and run around the field a couple of times and do the cross country trial. So that was obviously a no-brainer. But then I didn't kind of commit to getting into running at that point. I think I just did it for those 3 years in primary school. And then when I got to secondary school, me and my best friend Emma joined the after-school cross-country club. And then the guy that ran that was down at the athletics club. So then we, went and joined Bracknell AC. Very sort of traditional kind of British club scene, I guess.
And were you good at the start?
I think I would say I was pretty below average. We got put in this development group. I think we kind of probably got put in the wrong place. So we were doing wheelbarrow races and leapfrog as our warm-up. And we looked at these girls that were in the cross-country squad doing 4 times 400 metres. And we were like, that's really hard. And that would be our hardest session. And eventually we got promoted to that group. And I was probably sort of middle to at the back, but I was able to sort of squeeze into my county team after a couple of years, the last spot. But I always looked up to the girls that were just sort of naturally at the front. So I don't think there was a huge amount of natural talent there.
And was going to the after school club because you wanted to, or because parents pushed you, or what was the thing that led you there?
No, we both really wanted to do it. I think we enjoyed it in PE, probably in the minority of people that enjoyed running around the grass track when they were we're doing athletics instead of hockey. So I did enjoy it. And it was actually after I joined the athletics club that I learned that my dad was a runner when he was my age. At the time as well. So no, very much parents just wanted me to do kind of whatever was going to keep me out of trouble and keep me occupied, which was kind of anything and everything apart from academics at that age.
And did you see your dad running for leisure growing up, or it was almost something that you didn't get to absorb by osmosis?
No, so he did it as a teenager and then stopped when he was about 17, I think, and then took it up sort of a similar time to when I was getting back into it and started doing sort of the longer road stuff, because when he was a kid he did sort of 800 and 1,500 races. So I think I probably get the enjoyment and a little bit of the natural talent from him.
So you said, you started kind of doing cross country at school, but then there was a grass track, and then you just mentioned road, because you've done a bit of everything. How did that start? When did you move into track? When did you start moving up the distance?
I think at the athletics club, it was very sort of traditional. In the winter, you'd do cross country, and then we'd get to sort of March, April time, and we'd have this one session that we would call the transition session. And it was basically just a hard run rather than reps on the track or reps on the grass. And that would mark moving from cross country to track and then vice versa. And then I'd do sort of the track leagues. I probably didn't race on the roads a whole lot, but there was always the road relays. So there was always that mixture of stuff. But the club would say these are the races that we're on, and I'd say just kind of do all of them really.
And when did you start to feel like you were good? Because you said you came in and you were below average or whatever. When did you start to feel like this is your thing and that you're brilliant at this?
I think I made small improvements. The first national cross country I did, my coach at the time said, it'll be a really great result if you can try and get in the top 100. And I came 100th and was doing the bare minimum. Obviously, I wanted more than that. And I think each year I sort of progressively got a little bit better, I was probably focusing my efforts in the wrong area. I really thought I was going to be an 800 meter runner, and I just kept trying to run the 800, and I just was a bit crap at the 800. Just not getting any faster. So I think probably the year between finishing sixth form and going to university is where I saw myself take a really big step up, and I probably was just training more, having a little bit more time, like working for that year, and that was when I got invited to my first British champs. I did the steeplechase, and I felt such a big deal because I had my surname on my number, and I was like, I've made it. Probably came like second to last, but it's those kind of like jumps, I suppose, where you're like on a different stage. Like I remember Ailish McColgan being in my race and being like, wow, this is a really big deal.
That's so cool. Yeah. And then you went to uni in America, a kind of a sports school.
Yeah, well, so I went to Brunel for my undergrad.
Okay.
in London.
Yeah,
they call it London. It's hardly London. And so yeah, I made improvements sort of pretty much year on year whilst I was there. I got my first GB vest and then did my masters at Oregon. Yeah.
And are these on sports scholarships?
Not in the UK. I mean, I don't think we really have the same level of sort of scholarship opportunities as the US. I was on like a scholarship whereby I got like a bit of a bursary from the uni, which was nice. And the sports scholars would walk around uni with their sports scholar hoodie on, and you were the cheese. But yeah, when I went to Oregon, that was on a scholarship, so it was a really cool opportunity.
And what were you studying?
I did my masters in prevention science. God, I had to really think there. That's not good, is it?
What are you preventing?
It's kind of a mishmash of public health, behavioural health, and looking at like preventative measures rather than like solving the problem once it's there.
Science.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool, right? That would be a lot harder.
Science?
It was a pretty easy ride. Yeah.
And so at this point in time, are you assuming that your career is going to go very different to your passion in running, or like why did you go to uni?
I think doing my undergrad, it just seemed like the obvious choice. I actually wasn't going to go to uni, so that's why I took a year out, because I thought I'm just going to get a job and do something, figure it out. And then I did a little bit better on A-level results day and saw all of my friends going to uni and thought, that sounds like more fun. So then deferred my place, and I did psychology for my undergrad just because people interest me, and it was the subject I enjoyed most at A-levels. So, and I think there's a lot in that, like just following what you find the most enjoyable. And I probably would have ended up where I am now a bit sooner if I'd have kind of stayed true to that kind of after my masters.
And so at this point in time, are you assuming that there's a potential for a career path in running, or has that ever crossed your mind? Like when does that start to become an option? Yeah,
I think it fluctuates. I think when I got to Oregon after the summer of 2018, I'd sort of rewritten all of my PBs. Like really narrowly missed out on going to the European Champs for the 10K because I came second at Highgate that year and I was 3 seconds off the time. So if I'd have run 3 seconds faster, I would have been auto for that team, which like still annoys me a little bit today. But then I suppose, yeah, off the back of that, I really thought, I'll just keep improving year on year and this will be my career. And the next 2 years were really, really tough and I didn't improve really. I had a really tough time with training and my mental health and just like experiencing that whole kind of like environment in the States. Like it just didn't really work for me. So I think then like the doubts very quickly kind of crept in and I thought, probably going to have to get a real job, afterwards.
Did you always see yourself as a 10K kind of runner then? Did you ever think you'd pick up the distance to a marathon?
I think at the time the 10K was what I'd had the most success in. Really enjoyed the halves that I'd done. So like the idea was there in the back of my head. I always knew I was going to run a marathon. I just didn't know whether it was going to be something I did like competitively or like, just in the masses for charity at London one year. So it was a bucket list item, but I didn't know whether I'd be like good at it, like good enough at it to, do lots of them or be in the elite fields or anything.
And what was it that nudged you to take the plunge and do your first marathon? And what was your first marathon?
So I had it in my head that I would always be like in my mid-20s. So that I was kind of like, I don't know, far enough away from like the really risky injury area of your early 20s for me anyway. Then COVID happened. I'd come back from America, kind of fallen back in love with running a little bit by just going back to the basics of like enjoying doing sessions and stuff. And then it was like the options were go back to cross country and track, where I kind of more recently had like not great results, not great memories, or try the marathon, where it's like if I finish, I haven't failed. So it's like, I can't really do badly. It's like, you know, it's a whole learning experience. And so I went for that and then did my first marathon in February 2021. Yeah, in Seville.
And how did Seville go?
On the whole, good. But it was like such a baptism of fire, which hopefully everyone says that for their first marathon. Otherwise, I'm like, you haven't tried hard enough. Or, you know, that last 10K was pretty brutal. Like, I've got like about 3 seconds worth of memory from it, but it's like, I never want to go back to that place. It was so hard.
And you said that so long as you finish, you haven't failed.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you do? And like, how did you view your first marathon?
Yeah, so I ran 2:34, which I was really happy with on the day. I was aiming for 2:32 because I think at the time that was the Commonwealth time. And I thought, you know, it's not out of this world to aim for that. Wheels fell off in the last 10K. And I honestly didn't care what time I ran at that point. I kept looking at my watch and seeing like 6-something minute miling. I was just like, just don't care. I just want to finish. And so, yeah, finishing, like just crossing the line and being able to say like, I'm a marathon runner. Like aside from the time, I was really proud of the time as well.
I mean, to do that in your first marathon is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I guess you mentioned that you kind of didn't want to do a marathon until your mid-20s. Do you mind me asking how old you were?
21. God, I'm going to have to do some maths now because I'm 29 in February 25. So I would have been, what's that, 4 years ago? 25.
Yeah. So,
Well done, Phily.
You had
Because you missed the maths lessons for cross country.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
kind of paid off though. But so like to have the confidence at 25 to stand on your first marathon start line and set off at a pace to lead to a 2:32 is just like incredible. Like what leads to, is that just the years of training and consistency that lets you feel like that on the start line, or is that something
I
innate
think
in
so.
you?
I think my coach at the time was working with Helen Clitheroe, you know, talking about the time going into it beforehand. You know, she believed in me, and I think that's huge, having someone else believe in you, especially someone that you look up to. Like, you know, when I first started working with Helen, I was like, oh my God, it's Helen Clitheroe. Like, you know, I used to watch her on the telly, the Olympics. So I think that was huge. And there was just this excitement around it. And I think I still have that now going into, you know, these road races. There's just this kind of like buzz, and, you know, you can put that to the performance and it just kind of carries you.
And so I guess fast forward to today, and I'm sure people listening know that you're now doing in the top 10 fastest women ever from Great Britain at the marathon, which is insane. How's the journey been from 2021 to shave a further 9 minutes off?
Yeah, wow.
Like how did you get on over those 3 years? Did you improve steadily? Did you struggle? Did you have injuries? How's it been?
Yeah, I don't think I've had any injuries, touch wood.
wood.
Yeah, knock on my head. It's definitely not been like a, you know, straightforward upward trajectory, and it never is. I think the next marathon I did after that, I did take a good chunk off. I did Copenhagen and ran 2:29.
With me?
Yeah. and that was only last year, right?
What? Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And that was
it last year?
And that was
That's my
representing-
PB.
Representing England.
Yeah. Oh, so I've told a lie then. Seville was 2022. Yeah, because it was one each year.
Uh-huh.
So I was 26. Just taking a year off my age there. Yeah, so I went to Copenhagen, with Anya. We were running for England. And that was another one of those days that's just like kind of up there on this shelf of like, you know, capsule memories of amazing days. Managed to come third and run 2:29, so took 5 minutes off.
Wow. And was that what you set out for?
Pretty much, yeah. We were going for 2:29.30 and I ran 2:29.16. I wanted to go sub 2:30, and yeah, I didn't even realise I was third until about 600 metres to go, and someone told me, and I was like, lol.
So that was your second marathon?
Yeah.
Was the last 10K easier than the first?
Oh yeah,
one?
yeah. It was just run completely differently.
Okay.
I think, you know, my fitness was just in a different place, and I managed to negative split that race. But then I suppose the flip side of that, you know, taking 5 minutes off and negative splitting, then going into Houston, which was January this year, you know, I've my first marathon's gone pretty well, my second one's gone great, kind of going into Houston with all this gumption thinking, right, well, I'll just run 2:25, take another 4 minutes off, and it didn't go that way. I think firstly the conditions were really not ideal. It was pretty cold and pretty windy. It's the first place I've been to as well where you wake up, I mean, the race starts in the dark at 7 a.m. and the temperature got colder into the day and into the race. So the people that ran the half marathon actually did pretty well with it, but it got worse kind of a little bit later on. So I finished at 9:30 and it was like, 3 degrees or something like that. And I also just went out a bit too hard, I think, for where I was at. So massive positive split there. 2-second PB, still around 2:29.14, but like just, chalk and cheese looking at that in Copenhagen, and it took a real like chunk out of my confidence, which didn't it wasn't replaced, I suppose, if you like, until like having run Berlin. The whole block leading up to Berlin, I just had this in the back of my mind of how Houston had gone, and yeah, it's tough to come back from something like that.
At the same time, you don't like, you say that you didn't get your confidence back till you nailed it in Berlin, but you've then nailed it week in, week out, month on month, to then be in a position to be able to nail it in Berlin.
Well, not quite. I even the block, like the Berlin block wasn't perfect. There were sessions that I just failed and like really had to sit down and think, is this going to even happen? Which I think, if anyone's listening and kind of has that moment in a marathon block, it so doesn't write it off. Like, I don't think anyone's had a perfect block or even the perfect race. That is, all of these things you've got to fine tune, and you can kind of not be at 100% in all of them.
Did you change your training from Houston to Berlin?
I did a little bit. So I started working with my current coach, John Green, in March time of this year. So, from then the training was slightly different. Not hugely, but I suppose the key elements, my volume went up. I was running high mileage. We did a little bit of double threshold, so the 2 sessions in the day. And I also spent like pretty much the whole training block for Berlin at altitude. Whereas for Houston, it was kind of like the last month, pretty much.
And how do you find like moving around the world and living at altitude? Like, it's obviously it's paid dividends, but like, how does that come at a cost to being near your friends and stability and other things, or is it nothing matters other than how fast you are?
Yeah, it is a bit of a mixed bag. I think these days I tend to get to bring Daniel, my partner, with me, which is a huge help. And we both love Flagstaff, like being out there. That training camp, being there for I think 11 weeks or so, was the first one that I didn't kind of feel ready to go home. Last week I was thinking I could just stay for another week or two, and I really wanted to, whereas most training camps I'd done before that were sort of 4 to 6 weeks, so a lot shorter, you get to about halfway or 2 weeks ago and you think, I'm ready to go home now, because it's just a bit intense.
Do you think that's it being longer that you almost start to settle in and it feels like home a bit more?
I think it was the environment.
A long holiday.
I think it was the environment. Staying with friends, like having a really good kind of like support network, not just with my coach there, but the other athletes he coaches that, became my teammates and my friends, my training partners. And there's a little bit more going on in Flagstaff than like, off ski season in Font Romeu or St. Moritz, where there's not much to do. Or, I've heard South Africa is even worse. It's just like dead. Whereas Flag's got, a bit of a town, the university's there, and like there's just more people and a bit more of a vibe.
Yeah. So obviously we're in a really like fortunate position to be able to go to altitude and things.
Yeah.
And to be able to give up our jobs and have time to do that. I know you create content on the side because, well, what I'm trying to get at here is I think you're a big advocate for like equal pay and for females and males, and just the amount that athletes get paid. And I've heard you speak about it a lot on social media and things, and how it's really hard to make a living in the sport if you're just being an athlete. Not that it's just being an athlete, obviously there's so much to be done, but could you speak a bit more on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the position I'm in now is like a little bit like how the running improvements haven't been a straight upward trajectory. It's not been like plain sailing to get here, but what myself with Daniel's help have done is kind of created an environment where like my life does revolve around running, and prior to having a professional contract, I'm basically living like a pro, because my time is kind of like focused on the running, and anything that I do is kind of, I suppose, decided by us, but also obviously you work with brands and stuff like that. But in terms of the content creation, the coaching that I do, it's kind of, creating your own like opportunities sort of thing, where it's, like you say, a really difficult place to be, that you're sort of waiting for that paycheck from someone else, and it can be quite subjective sometimes, and different brands' budgets fluctuate, and I don't think there's many athletes out there who can just sort of actually sustain that life and support themselves just from a pro contract. So the way I looked at it was, you can either put yourself in a position of being under immense pressure because you have to perform to be able to get that, or kind of float yourself with other things, and then if that comes, then it's like a great added bonus, you know. So
It's really hard.
I guess like you've had to juggle being now one of the fastest women in the country while also being one of the best now content creators and the most viral women in running at the same time, and that's like perfecting two quite different crafts. And I guess a marathon runner at the top of their game 20 years ago didn't need to think about social media, and now you've been able to craft an incredible skill at both. Do you find that they complement each other? Does having this outlet in sharing your journey and inspiring so many helps distract you from the hard miles? Do you find it hard to balance the two? Like, how do you feel around basically doing two incredible jobs at once?
Yeah, I think yes to all of the above, really. Like it chops and changes. Most of the time, I find that it's really helpful to have more than one thing going on. I like to be very busy, and you know, if my session doesn't go great, I'm not just coming home and then like thinking about that session being rubbish all day, because I've got stuff to do, you know. So like there's something else for me to focus on, and something else to kind of bring me back to that not being like the be all and end all, kind of rationalize things. It does get difficult sometimes, and I think we've gotten better at kind of helping ourselves with that in terms of pushing back on things, not saying yes to everything, because I think we have to be a little bit more picky about what we do and don't do, because you're trying to kind of have this like perfect equilibrium of like recovery and rest, but also, you know, earning money as well. So it's tough, but I really enjoy it. So I think that is what really adds to the running. I enjoy being able to craft a story and bring the content to people of, you know, the race or the session, whatever it is we're doing. And that also then in turn makes what we're doing more fun. Like, you know, having Daniel at the race with a camera and like thinking about how we're going to put it into a video makes the race itself more fun. I'm not thinking about it whilst I'm running the race. I'm just like everyone else thinking about being in pain and when it's going to be over, you know, or what I'm doing. But yeah, I think they complement each other really well for me.
And they do complement each other so well. If you had to say which one is the most important to you, like you can never post a video online again, or you will never be at the top level in sport, but you'll inspire so many and get to go running and share your journey, like, can you pick?
It would, it would be the running. It has to be. And I think, you know, we always come back to that like running comes first. And whenever we're a little bit unsure, just kind of like referring back to that is a really helpful thing to kind of like ground you, because it's now or never. I've got, you know, hopefully 10, 15 years if I really like live out my kind of shelf life in this sport. And then, you know, I can create as many videos as I want after that. So yeah, just the balance of the two. I'm glad I don't have to choose though. I'd probably be, you know, poorer if I did.
Do you think back to, you know, when younger Phily was struggling after Oregon, and now you're like, everything's so fun, like you're so excited for your next marathon, like just loving running again. Do you ever think back to you back then and kind of compare it?
Yeah, I think I always try and do that when, you know, we want to like grow what we're doing, and we're always looking for ways to improve. And I think sometimes you can get a little bit bogged down in the kind of short term and think, oh, you know, since last week we haven't got better at this, or like last month we got this many views and now it's this. And if you just zoom out and go, listen, like 2 years ago this is where you were, or 3 years ago, it's like, wow, you know, look how far we've come, both in, you know, in my running and how I feel towards it, but also like what we're building in the business side of things. So yeah, I think that's always good. Again, like stress that it's not always like, you know, getting better and better each day, each week, each month, but on the whole, like zooming out, it's really nice to get that side of things, and also reminding my past self to like stop worrying as well, because I can remember coming back from Oregon and thinking like, I need to decide what to do with my life, and running wasn't going well enough for that to be it. So I was like, I need to know what I want to do, and like working as a civil servant, like getting upset that I didn't enjoy it and felt like I needed to. And it's just like, wish I could go back and sort of say to myself, like, calm down. It's all going to figure itself out. Yeah.
So I guess with the marathon journey, it led to Berlin, where you ran a, I guess, flawless race and ran 2:25.
Yeah.
So that now puts you within the Olympic qualifying time.
Mm-hmm.
What is the goal? Like, what do you want to achieve with your running here on out? Like you said, 10, 15 years where you want to do and see what you can do. What is the goal?
Yeah, well, I think in 2028, if I could run the Olympic qualifying time within the window of the qualification of the Olympics, that'd be great. And, be within the top 3, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, LA is definitely on my sights. And I think every decision we make in terms of races and even kind of like the training weeks between now and then has to have an element of like it being in line with that goal. And looking beyond that as well, I just want to run loads of different marathons. I think obviously ticking off all the majors is like a bucket list item. That would be really cool. But on more of like a holistic sense and a process sense, I want to just keep enjoying it and learning more about myself and different ways to race. And I still feel like a bit of a baby in the marathon world. I've only run 4. I think if you're a 10K runner, you can get that amount of experience in one season. Whereas, because you can't run a marathon back to back every 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, you can, but not if you're going to be running faster each time. I think it's, just kind of committing to that like personal growth as well.
I mean, I love the philosophy, which is just focus on enjoying it and then you'll do really well as a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, 2028 and the Olympics is clearly a big goal. You're now the 10th fastest woman from the UK ever. Do you want to climb up to the top? Like, do you even want to think about that or just focus on being happy and pushing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame Paula Radcliffe has set the bar so high for anyone in the UK. I mean, seeing what Callie has done this year is amazing, but she's still minutes off, which is, just shows you how dominant Paula was, a few years ago. I think like rankings will always change. If I stop now, like I'll probably be 20th fastest of all time in about 4 or 5 years because it's just moving forward all the time. And I think the thing that you'll look back on at the end of your career, or is how I feel about it anyway, is kind of the moments. And a lot of those will be races, like that Berlin race, like is such a core memory for me. But kind of focusing on those like championship races and positions in those being kind of like, the big goals. But also that's such a small percentage of it. Obviously the races and the goals are always what we're thinking about and working towards. But like 99% of your time is training and hopefully doing that with people you enjoy doing it with and like having a laugh and kind of messing around in the process. Like that is the side of it that I like enjoy day in, day out. So, having that there, like I feel so lucky to be able to hopefully do that for the next decade and a half.
Loving the grind.
That's it.
Up.
And I think entertaining and inspiring so many along the way.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Yeah, we're going to send ourselves over to Steph, who's going to come in with our coaching tip of the week.
My top tip today is on sleep and recovery. We can train hard, we can stretch, we can eat well, but if our sleep starts to suffer, then this can lead to picking up an injury or getting fatigued. When you're approaching your big race, really try and prioritise that 8 hours of sleep a night. That might be having to say no to some social occasions, but if you can get the balance right, it means you'll recover well and get the most out of your training. If you feel like the fatigue and lack of sleep is catching up on you, don't be afraid to skip the odd run here or there and recover well.
Thank you so much for that, Steph. We are now going to dive in to our discussion sent in from one of our lovely runners this week. Okay. I see lots of people on Strava who run so many miles a week, and I'm just not there. My New Year goal is to build up my mileage, but I don't want to get injured. What's the best advice for looking to build up to higher distances in a week?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I'd say stop looking at other people's totals on Strava because it doesn't mean anything. That everyone has their own kind of story of how they've got into the position they're in. I know it's tempting, it's difficult. I can remember back in 2020 being in a period of in and out of just getting a niggle or injury every 8 weeks. And I had to just really strip it back to running like 30 miles a week and cross training quite a lot. So I think just slowly with it, maybe making like very small incremental increases week on week, but then taking like a deload, like lesser volume week every like 4 to 5 weeks. And listen to your body as well. Like hitting a specific number might look nice on paper, but it's much better to just not get injured, in the long run. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Kind of build up gradually, put in rest weeks. Cross training can help build up the strength to it, especially if they're struggling to tolerate during building it up and they're finding issues there. Maybe build up their during cross training volume, and then they can bring that back down over time, and then build up the running when the injuries don't come in or the issues don't come in. Making sure that they're fueling themselves more if they're going to start running more.
Yeah.
Prioritizing the sleep, the nutrition, all of those extra things that
sleep
are going to.
Sleep is huge as well. Like, if you even just get like 2 bad nights sleep in a row, your risk of injury just like skyrockets. So I'd cut off a couple of miles of your run if it means you're going to get like 20 minutes more sleep.
Yeah. And even just thinking about, it's not all about necessarily the mileage, but how many days a week you're running.
Yeah.
And also how that slots in around doing. Most people have to doing a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or longer, and doing, like we said, don't necessarily look at what everyone else is doing and then deem that as what you need to do. And we've all got different lives, and so work around that.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to come in with our this or that. So we're going to present you 2 obviously very sensible options, and you're going to have to pick between them. So, one of my favourite things, but I believe it's one of yours as well. Would you rather never ever drink chocolate milk again, or only ever drink chocolate milk again?
Oh, as in I can't drink anything else?
So it's either chocolate milk and nothing else, or everything else and no chocolate milk.
I'm probably going to have to lose chocolate milk because I can't fuel my marathons with chocolate milk. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail, but it would be a very messy situation in many ways. Wow, that's a heartbreaking thought. Yeah.
So no chocolate milk again?
Yeah, I guess no chocolate milk, but on the caveat that like you can obviously have like banana milk, strawberry milk.
Oh.
Maybe you could have
It's sneaky, that.
peanut butter chocolate milk because that's not chocolate milk.
No, you definitely can't have chocolate in milk.
Okay, well,
You just peanut butter milk.
fine.
Fair, that's quite a sneaky way out, actually.
Yeah.
Clever.
You do that.
Are you a anti milk, chocolate milk, and you're going with this option as well?
I do like strawberry milk and things, yeah.
We can get by.
I think, imagine, like, I mean, I probably drink like 4 litres a day of fluids. If I drank 4 litres of chocolate milk, I would be quite large.
I thought that's what you were going to say. I was going to say, I think actually you might have a problem there.
I think there'd be like issues in like overdosing on calcium and other things. So,
yeah,
I think I'm going with you as well, sadly. Okay, would you rather run a marathon in a sumo suit or run a park run and you have to carry Daniel on your shoulders the whole way?
I mean, I don't think I'd be able to do the last one.
I mean, Anya initially suggested this as a 10k, and I've like made it shorter.
Yeah, I think I could probably carry him for like the length of this room. So I'd be pretty up for doing a marathon in a sumo suit. Can it be like one of those inflatable ones?
Yeah, nice airflow.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be up for doing that just anyway.
Okay, well, stay tuned on Phily's YouTube. Okay, would you rather throw out all of your socks and replace them with toe socks for the rest of your life? Or every run you ever go on, 60 seconds in, you need the toilet?
Oh, I mean, that's basically normal anyway. Yeah, I'll take the 60-second toilet room. Yeah, I couldn't deal with the toe socks. Also, I've got a really great sock collection, so that would be heartbreaking even just to get rid of them.
I was also thinking it could be quite practical and convenient, the 60-second toilet trip in, because you'd like, okay, I'm going on a run, set off a minute early or a few minutes early so you can have your minute jog, trip to the toilet, and then you can do your real run.
And can that mean that I don't need the toilet for the rest of the run, like guaranteed? Because it's probably
nice. Like less likely. I don't think we can give it to you guaranteed. Otherwise, this is a.
I can just save my pre-run wee for like 60 seconds in. Yeah,
nice
deal.
Anya?
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't like the toe chafage of toe socks.
Apparently, it's actually good. I had a few people clap back at me that in ultras, like, you need toe socks.
I went through a phase of toe socks, and Christmases was like, I think maybe 3 or 4 Christmases ago was lots of toe socks, please, and loved them. And then I basically did an ultra marathon and lost all my toenails and thought, nope, toe socks didn't save me, so I'm just going back to normal socks.
Okay, so the final closing question of the podcast that we ask all of our guests. You're designing your dream race. What is the event? Where is it? What food and drink is being served at the finish? And who is presenting you with the award?
Wow. Well, I feel like I'm going to be so basic with this. Because, like, I'm kind of in the context of, like, you know, the majors being my goal, you know, the Olympics, whatever. It would probably just be one of those. It would just be like as it is currently planned. But maybe I can entertain like a post-professional career, like a bit of a party race. It's got to be somewhere that I've never been before, so it's like an excuse to travel. So maybe somewhere in Australia. Very cool. Which is probably going to be a bit warm, so a marathon sounds like a bit too much effort. Maybe we do like a 10k.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Food and drink served.
Food and drink at the finish.
At the finish. Okay.
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk, yeah, straight away. I think that's.
But we'll have to work on like refrigeration because you wouldn't want it like getting baked in the Australian sun. A bit of a
maybe there's
lukewarm
fridges
chocolate.
at the finish with chocolate milk in, and then perhaps just like jars of Biscoff as well. You can have like a spoonful of Biscoff with your chocolate milk.
Nice.
Having kind of like dessert before the main, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it'd be really cool if there's like long tables like you have at street parties.
Very cool.
And everyone's just having probably pizza, I think,
Nice.
post-race.
Nice.
As like a solid, I feel like I could always eat a pizza.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily my favourite food. I'd probably go for a lasagna if I was going out for dinner, but
Be a bit messy getting handing a
and like
lasagna
straight
out
after
to
a
everyone.
race, I don't think I'd be craving the lasagna.
And who would hand you your award at the end? Or put the medal around your neck?
God, I think of someone really important. Either someone really important or like completely inaccessible, like the king. Yeah.
But you're shipping the King of England to Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe the Queen, if she could just come back.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
they're part of the like English nations, I think. So
Yeah. Because I kind of miss,
so you're
miss Queen Lizzie.
you're bringing the Queen back tonight, everyone, or to give everyone their medal at the end.
The ghost of Queen Lizzie. Yeah.
In ghost form.
And is it a mass participation event? You have to qualify. Is it a fun run?
Yeah, I think it's mass participation, but everyone's slower than me, so obviously I win naturally. Yeah.
But a nice pack to run with. To get
I'm
you the
literally
PB.
setting up my dream for tonight. Like I'm just going to go to sleep and this is going to be what's on
You
my
could
mind.
invent this race. You submit your times, and then if they're faster than you, you just be like, sorry,
Entry.
ballot denied.
Your entry has been rejected because you are too fast.
Because I think you could engineer that bit easier than you could bring Lizzie back.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of logistical issues around that.
Technology these days, AI.
Yeah. And you did say dream race, so it's kind of,
Absolutely.
I mean, this is never going to happen, but
Never say never.
yeah.
Power of Runner.
Runner.
Yeah, we run a race. We're sponsored by Runner.
Yeah, we're allowed to sponsor this race.
Yeah,
If we help with the logistics, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
why not?
Great. Amazing. Well, honestly, thank you so much for telling us about your story, and we cannot wait to watch and see how you get on come 2028 and the 10, 15, 50 years beyond.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Today's podcast was brought to you by Runna. If you want to train for any goal, download the app today. And don't forget, you can use the code Runna Podcast for a 2-week free trial.
Whether you enjoyed the episode or not, please like, share, follow, subscribe, do all of that nonsense, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Wow, you made it all the way to the end of the podcast. And so for all of our loyal listeners, we have a special 15% off all of our Runner merchandise. If you want to look as cool as Anya, then go and use the code MyFastSocks for 15% off all of our Runner merchandise. And thank you again for listening.